Are you rolling on this,
I have to.
Eric? Are you rolling?
Yeah.
Is that rolling? Okay, go for it. Loud and clear so they can hear the question. In 3, 2, 1.
What are your fondest memories of your time at Holy Cross?
Well, winning the NCAA championship in 1946-47 certainly was a highlight. It was my first year. Freshmen were allowed to play in those days. It was post-war days, and we didn't really know what we accomplished because the NCAA in those days invited, I think, 16 teams. Now, what is it, 68 or something like that. So I remember we won the darn thing, and Holy Cross wasn't a basketball school. It was a baseball, football school. They had resurrected the sport right after the war, so no one was taking it seriously. It wasn't even in the curriculum in high schools. And so we're riding down at the end of the season Worcester's Main Street in what was our version of a ticker tape parade saying, what the hell did we do? What did we didn't really realize what we had accomplished. Although what I remember the most fondly about that, and I'm most proud of, is I think that's what ignited the basketball spark in New England. There were no hoops up on the garages or the light poles before. Dads started getting up after we won that championship. It wasn't even in the curriculum in most high schools, frankly. So anyway, New England started taking basketball seriously, and I'm pleased that, I played a small role in all of that.
What are the most important attributes to being an effective point guard?
Well, some physical, some mental, peripheral vision, for instance. As opposed to tunnel vision. You can't be a quarterback, a catcher in baseball, or an effective point guard if you have tunnel vision. From the minute you catch the outlet pass and start down floor, your eye must see the entire floor. People who aren't that conversant with basketball must wonder when we say, you've got to see the floor, and I'm sure they'll react, well, doesn't everybody see the floor? No, everyone doesn't see it properly. A point guard must have that kind of flexibility, however, because from the time, and then his mind must be able to take a mental picture of not only where everyone is, but what their attributes are. They say you're supposed to know your opponent. It's equally important for you to know your teammates, especially if you're playing in a transition format where you're getting down floor as quickly as you can, because once you turn your head, all of that, as I say, clicks in. Then after that, it's creativity, imagination. There are some guys that they don't throw the ball away, but it's A to B, C to D. It's not creative. The Magic Johnsons of the world, have that extra gene where once they get into the penetrating area, they're able to do something wonderful, something no one else can do in terms of moving bodies effectively so that when they make the eventual last pass, it's going to lead to kind of an unencumbered shot. And lastly, they have to be a threat themselves, an offensive threat. They've got to be able, when they on a perimeter, to be effective enough where the defender is at least going to guard them, because if he doesn't, if you can't hit a bull in the tail from the perimeter, defense plays off. It affects your passing expertise inside. So you've got to draw the defender, and once you draw the defender, you've got to be able to put the ball to the floor effectively, penetrate, and then dish or finish yourself. And if you can do all those things, you become LeBron James, I guess.
What is the biggest change in the game from the era you played to today's game?
Yeah, I shake my head. We used to sit in those dreary locker rooms and say, God, we're the best athletes, and this is the greatest game. And the minute we can start to put it on, what's that box they're coming out with? TV, is that what they're calling it? Minute we can get on there, boy, it's going to explode. We are the greatest. Well, in our wildest dreams, we didn't think it would reach, the proportions. that it has. So there's been an advancement in the game. The athlete, when I jumped as high as I could, I'd get the bottom of the net. When Michael jumped as high as he could, he'd jump over the damn backboard. So, there's no question the big people especially are much more athletic. Guards, I don't know so much, but big people can do so much more now in terms of what it requires to be effective in the game of basketball than ever before. And I think the shooting skills, it doesn't show. We used to shoot at about 39-40%, but we had no three-point shot. Now I'm sure I'm out of the loop, so I don't know what the stats are, but I'm sure they're shooting it. Every time Steph Curry winds up to shoot, and I'm watching, I'm screaming as a coach saying, "Don't take that shot," as it goes in the basket, So a lot of changes athletically, and shooting skills have improved tremendously.
What did you know of John Wooden? And if you were familiar with his coaching, what impressed you the most?
Was that he whipped my ass twice, 2 out of 2, when I was at Boston College. That's what I remember most about John. I had great respect for John, as everyone does, and his career speaks for itself. He, it's tough to get to the top in whatever profession we're in, but sometimes it's harder to stay on top, and John stayed on top probably longer than any coach ever has. So he was not only a great coach, but a great recruiter, and he taught the right lessons, in my judgment, to the kids that he had play for him, and I'm sure they reflected that in their future lives.
Last question. Who was the most important person or mentor in your basketball life, and why?
Well, I had the president of the College of the Holy Cross for 23 years was a Jesuit named Father John E. Brooks, and overall he was my most meaningful mentor in life, both in terms of moral codes and social justice, and the basketball coach for 2 years at Holy Cross, Buster Sherry, who won the NIT with Tommy Heinsohn and Togo Palazzi after I had left. But I played with Buster for 2 years, and he was an inspirational leader from a basketball standpoint. But Father John Brooks, I think, taught me how to live my life properly.
Thank you, Coach.
That's a take.
That's a take. That's a keeper.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I think we got everything we needed.
Wonderful. Good.